Resident Evil 4.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Resident Evil 4 professional no damage run. This is one of those parts where the level designers kind of said to each other, where would be cool to go next? And the guy over in the corner was like, oh, let's do minecarts and lava pits, and the dude to his right kind of said, hang on a moment here, how does this make any sense? You know, how can we justify putting these things in? To which Shinji Mikami cleared his throat and said, forget about that, let me worry about that, just add it to the game. And thus we have some pretty interesting environments coming up which don't make a lot of sense, but they're pretty fun to be in. However, they're pretty challenging too. So you'll notice immediately, we're not taking on the zealots, we are taking on villagers, the worker bees, and I'm trying to bait this guy into swinging, and he was having none of it. But luckily enough, I'm comfortable with the villagers, and we can get the kicks going again, because we're no longer trying to audition for WWE. Once they're on the ground, you want to start sticking them with the knife. And be aware that this next room is kind of crazy. Right there, the reason he set on fire is because I attacked him during his attack where he was trying to set me on fire. Very risky, but I was confident in my ability to knife him. So, this room is full of dudes, and there's going to be is it an Salvador who turns up, a chainsaw man? And I think there's a glitch here on the GameCube version, which you cannot do on any other version of the game. And it involves blowing up the rock with the rocket launchers, so it saves you planting the dynamite. However, that doesn't work on, I believe, pretty much every other version of Resident Evil 4. So instead we're going to do this. Every one of these dudes can pretty much be sniped, because even if you aggro them, and for some reason watching their friends get decapitated by high caliber rounds doesn't seem to motivate them to move, even if they do, like this guy, he's going to have trouble getting past the giant rock, and then the people on your side have to climb up a ladder. So you have all the high ground, all the advantage, and it makes this room a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And of course, when Mr. Salvador turns up, we can just introduce him to the concept of buckshot, and there's nothing he can do. And it's one of those empowering and controlled sequences which can be a lot of fun. However, the next room is one of the hardest in the game, because you're taking on two El Gigantes, and you can drop one of them in the lava, but the second one takes an insane amount of damage to kill. I'm talking, I think I waste all my Magnum rounds on him. And it's completely unacceptable. It's one of those fights where, why can't you drop both of them in the lava? I understand for balance reasons, they want you to actually fight. But both the dudes stand on it, you open it, and it only ever gets one. And it's this pre-canned animation where if you're near the edge, they can actually pull you in. So you want to be careful with that. But I have tried several times to get both of them in that pit, and it just doesn't work. And it sucks, because killing them the long way is an ammo nightmare, pretty much. There goes that guy. I believe to trigger the rest of them, you have to drop down. So you're not going to see Chainsaw Man until a little while. But when he turns up, you need to keep your eye on him, because they sneak up on you, and they can instantly kill you. And a playthrough like this kind of diminishes the fact that every single thing on this game really hurts, even on normal. I played this on normal to get back into the game. I was getting 1 to 2 shot, with life higher than my life right now. You know, this is when games really wanted you to earn it. You know, they didn't want it to be spoon-fed, they wanted it to feel good. And it does. And I want games to go back to that, I really do, but they won't, because it's changing what it means to be a game. And I was watching a Rev 3 Games video on YouTube just a couple of minutes ago, and they were talking about, you know, how the paradigm of games is changing. In the past, it was these challenge-driven, score-driven, you know, through repetition you improve and you master these base mechanics to have impressive runs on games. That's kind of been replaced with this notion of an experience, this notion of a roller coaster or a fairground. And they made a pretty good observation that there's now this genre where the objective is, there is no objective. Just wander around and you know, engross yourself in the world. Whereas, you know, back in the days of the NES and the SNES and everything was very binary. It was always very arbitrary. You do this to then do this. And that's the way it is to be done, because that's the way it is. And it's not like that anymore. For better, of course. But at the same time, they've also moved away from the very thing that made games what they were, which is games were designed to steal money. And they were very good at it, because they tickled a part of the brain that has the addictive and the euphoric responses, and they often involved money. So you put a games cabinet in your shop or in your store or in your arcade, and somebody puts £1 in to play it, depending on how scandalous your prices are, and they come up against the AI, and the AI absolutely thrashes them. And they go, whoa, that was super cool, but I'm really bad at this. So they put another £1 in, and they get thrashed again. And after about 40 quid, you know, they start to understand it, and they start to thrash the game back. But not everybody's like that. So, you know, people will go between different machines, and then they'll find the one that maybe they don't even like, but they can do, so they can make the money go further. Or you can do the thing that I used to do in arcades when I was younger, when I'd spent all my money, is you pretended to play the arcade cabinets. Sometimes to the chagrin of somebody actually playing them. I'll never forget, I was about 6 or 7 maybe, and a dude was on a fighting game cabinet, and everybody was dressed as luminous ninjas. It was like a knockoff of Mortal Kombat, and it wasn't Mortal Kombat, I don't know what it was, but he was fighting the computer, and he was doing pretty well, and I was pretending to be his opponent on the other side, like a little kid, you know, reaching up to the panel, mashing all the buttons. But the difference being is, because I'm a bit of an idiot, I was talking shit while I was doing it, even as a young man. Talking trash, and he lost to the computer, and I took the victory as if I'd earned it. And he didn't take it so well, and I have no idea how this dude didn't just punch me, but I'm glad he didn't. Because A, I was really young, and he was a grown-ass man, and B, it would have probably hurt. But it was just hilarious, and it's one of those memories that stick with me, and it... Like this guy who's... What is he doing? Oh yeah, I'm gonna dodge your shotgun blast. Maybe not. But those were the joys of the arcade. Like, you found a game you liked, and you put a lot of money into it until you got better at it. Or you never got better at it, and you just put money in anyway. And a lot of the times, those games were very unfair. They were made to punish players. You know, look at the Bandits. Anybody who plays Bandits semi-well knows that you want some fool to come along, put a load of money in it, and not win anything. You want him to warm it up for you so you can come along, because the machines are set to have a probability of a payout, and if the machine hasn't paid out in a while, it's due to some time now. So the best Bandit players are the ones who know which machines are hot and which ones aren't. And it's the same with the arcade in some responses. If you weren't good at any of the games and you didn't have a lot of money, you needed to play the one A you knew how to play, or B you could get a decent session from. And that's why arcades were cheap. That's why games, when they originally made the transition to home entertainment, were incredibly cheap as well. Because the technology was limited, and the game design philosophy was, how do we shit-stomp the player so much that we take all his money and make good profit for the person who's purchased the machine? And then as times changed, it's become less about how do we steal their money, and more about how do we get them to pay for this X amount of time that they're going to have with this game, and hopefully not trade it in. But there is the first El Gigante. And I believe that you cannot put the other guy in the pool now, because I don't think the machine ever reseals. I was surprised, because you'd think you'd be able to stun him and then somehow push him in. Oh, be careful too, that was his death grab. But instead, it seems to want you to just put all your bullets into this dude to try and kill him, and it takes forever to do. So, against my better judgment, I'm using my most powerful gun to try and speed this up. If I had a rocket launcher, it would have sped it up even more. But that right there, if the game does not give you the QuickTime event, you are fucked. It is non-apologetic, and unless you went back and saved, which I did, you have to do that entire room we just cleared out again. So I learnt that the hard way. But it just seems... I wish you could get both of them in the lava. And I know I've tried several times and I've had no success doing it. And maybe there's a glitch to do it. Maybe there's some kind of trick. But this is just one of those tricky rooms. Is he dead? Oh, he's dead. Interesting. But yeah, it's... For the amount... What the fuck was I doing then? Interesting. Don't ask, I have no idea. I should really trim that out, but now I've spoke about it, I should probably keep it in. I must have been frustrated and just like pausing it and thinking about restarting because I was just guilty over how much magnum rounds he took. And I suppose I could have just shot him with the TMP and then knifed the parasite, which would have been a better use of the ammo. But I'm also of the mentality that I hoard the good stuff so much, I never use it. So I can't remember regretting using the magnum ammo there. So I think we did okay. But as you see, we now no longer have any. But the tirade is not over, because this is another very... just... I'm not going to say it's hard, because it's not. It's just annoying. There's a ton of the dirty bug people. The cool thing is, if you hit them when they're flying, it's an instant kill. When they land, they turn into the standard versions of themselves that's a bullet sponging whore. But if you hit them while they fly, it's all good. It's all gravy. But the thing with this is, there's dozens of this enemy in this place. And because they can fly and because they do buzz, but you never really have any sense of where they are, they can sneak up on you. And they do these dash attacks, which are so fast and hard to dodge, that taking hits here is really easy to do. Anyone who's watching right now who's played this game has took a hit in this room, because we all have, just through the sheer nature of... Sometimes they'll fly so close to your character, you can't get the camera to look at them. You know, you can't get to a position where you can safely shoot them without being in danger yourself. So it breeds incredibly cowardly gameplay like this, where I funnel them into a bottleneck and I punish them with the striker. And it's one of the best ways to do this. There might be a super sneaky speedrun tactic here that I'm not aware of, but you know, this is how I managed to get through, and this is how it's going to be represented. But I do like the striker. It sounds so good when you fire it. It's a cool shotgun, and when we get it with its maximum drum, oh Nelly, pretty damn amazing weapon. The sound design on this game as a whole is marvellous. There's just something about how visceral the shots feel. Resident Evil's always been good for that. But the problem is, the feedback for the player got weaker and weaker in the games. You know, Resi 4 is easily the standout moment for feedback, because it was the most responsive one. It was the one where you could feel in control by placing shots in places where they belonged. On Resident Evil 5, they lost a lot of that, and I don't know why. I'd be curious as to the design meeting where they said, you know, the last team set up this table of rules, this table of modifiers and algorithms that all come together to make, you know, the most balanced and mechanical Resident Evil game. And we're just going to disregard all of those things that made it function and made it reliable, and we're going to add random variables that don't have any, you know, basis on anything other than this enemy can take a shotgun blast because he's having a good day. You know, his wife kissed him this morning instead of turning over on the other side of the bed and ignoring his ass. You know, it's not a good reason to give them armor for no reason at all. However, it did, and then on 6 it just got worse. You know, getting hit when you're not in control of your camera, getting hit when you're in cutscenes, that stupid flash that happens when someone's injured where you're still vulnerable while it's happening. Completely disorientating, stupid, bad design. How the hell did it make it in a game with so many people working on it? But press this button and you can hear from the flap of the wings, from the tattoo of wing beats, that there's a dozen more bugs coming our way. And the thing that sucks here is you kind of have to do this in one run, because if you don't, it involves running back to the door a lot. And running back to the door is annoying to do, it's annoying to watch. But it's a definite strategy, so if you want to do it, feel free. Because we're moving towards just a strange part of the game. And I do apologise if I sound like I've got, like, burps. I don't know how well that's coming across on the mic. I had an energy drink today I've never had. It was a Mountain Dew amped energy drink. And I think it was one of the worst things I've ever drank in my entire life. It was so bizarre. It was like drinking a trainer. A trainer that tastes of bubblegum. And I should probably say sneaker for my American audience, because I'm not too sure if the word trainer translates. Because we call them trainers. I have no idea why. But we do. And it was just... It wasn't a bad flavour. It was just so... there. Just... What am I drinking? Every single time I drank from it, it tasted different. It was like the revels of beverages. And I'm not too sure if these guys can actually come in here, because that dude's... He's either trying to make himself sick so he doesn't have to go to work, or he's having a bit of trouble. And maybe he's a swimmer with one arm. I don't know. Or, he's taking it though, Jesus. But the cool thing about this enemy is they do drop good stuff. They drop grenades, they drop ammo, they drop all kinds of gold. They're pretty reliable for drops as well, so I don't really mind fighting them. I prefer them a lot more when they're not invisible, because they don't seem to be as strong. That might just be me though. And once again, we're having another crisis of inventory because it's getting full. That's probably left a few people scarred just then. The inventory people are just like, all they want to do is take the controller off me right now and rearrange it so that it's ergonomic and awesome. But just look at this. At this point in time, I could leave. I could turn around and carry on, but I'm stubborn, I guess. And I want the drops. That must be my motivation at this point. If you're wondering why I've got so many loose herbs, it's because I'm waiting to put them with stuff. I hate combining two herbs and then realising around the corner there's a red one. And I did it a lot in this playthrough, and it's like burning money. But my mentality is always take grenades. Always. Because they're never not useful. Never not useful. But a couple more of the eyes. A couple more of the bugs. Uh-oh! Oh! Can you imagine that? That's what I'm talking about. Could you hear him then? I have headphones on cranked and I couldn't hear that dude. All I could hear was generic wings and they didn't sound close at all. It's not up there with Onimusha where they make no sound. They just hit you and expect you to cope. But still, they're sneaky. So you want to be careful. And admittedly, you want to try and kill them so that the drops don't fall into the big pit. It's a little bit stupid of me, but I've never claimed to be the smartest player. But look at him. It's that moment where you're like, shall I really keep doing this? How long have I done this for? Far too long is the answer. Let's push on. So, apparently health and safety is not a thing to whoever the developer of this area is. And like we put up with small grievances in the workplace, they have to put up with crushing traps. Crushing traps that are pretty close to mantle points, which is dangerous. Like, I wonder who this deters. The only thing this kind of trap system would deter is A, someone incredibly nervous or claustrophobic, and B, cats, animals of some sort. Because a dog would never want to risk that, because I don't even think they could, you know, realise that there's a time when it's up and when it's down, because I think we've all seen animals near roads, and it's a terrifying sight to see, because it's almost like they just kind of shut their eyes and run across. They don't look and acknowledge the fact that, you know, there's no cars now. They just kind of go for it. And I assume that's because they're incapable of that thought. You know, that's why they lick their balls and all the other things they do, because they're just animals of instinct and impulse. We're the ones that do all the thinking and get all metaphysical. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and I do take care now.